Hey guys, Evan from Gymaware. We're really happy to be supporting Coach DeMayo's podcast series once again. For those that don't know, our main product is Gymaware. It's the gold standard for measuring performance and implementing velocity-based training in the weight room. It excels in busy team training environments, and for many coaches, it's the Swiss Army knife of their toolkit. The Gymaware is used for athlete profiling, jump testing, fatigue monitoring, and for lifting within velocity zones. The system provides real-time feedback on individual targets, plus it's got an impressive range of leaderboards. Now, for those that are after a VBT device that's affordable, for the individual and for smaller groups, we recently released our new laser-based product, Flex. Importantly, it's been independently validated and proven to be both accurate and reliable. So if you're interested in either product, or you want to learn more about the velocity-based training and how it can help you as a coach, check out our website or contact us directly. So in the meantime, we trust you enjoy the Coach DeMayo's podcast, Outside the Rack.
The world of strength and conditioning is filled with some fantastic practitioners that are always searching for more. But more what? What are strength and conditioning coaches searching for to better their ability to prepare their athletes? Well, what about cutting-edge information? Or a place where you can find different opinions from forward-thinking coaches on what you're doing, how you're doing, and try to get feedback to be better for your athletes? Or what about a place where you'll find like-minded coaches that can provide solid coaching advice and career development for you as you progress through your career as a strength and conditioning professional? Well, this is exactly why we built the Strength Coach Network. You'll have access to exclusive monthly content on top of the sensationally active forum that we have where you can communicate with coaches all over the world to find those answers that you're looking for to help you be a better practitioner for your athletes. So make sure you hop on over to strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPS, that's strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPS, and get your 48-hour trial for only $1. I look forward to seeing you in the Strength Coach Network.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the 80th episode of Outside the Rack, brought to you by Kinetic Performance, the makers of Gymaware. On this show, we're just going to try to dive a little deeper into the minds of the top practitioners in the world of sport performance to learn a little bit more about who they actually are and how they got to where they are today. Today, we are joined by Antonio Squillante. He is a faculty member at Setanta College and also works at the Clinical Exercise Research Center at the University of Southern California, and also is a new author for Ultimate Athlete Concepts. Antonio, thanks for being with us today, brother.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it's great to catch up. I'm glad you're doing well. But before we get too far into this, bud, who is Antonio?
Well, I'll try to keep it short. I was born and raised in Italy, so pretty far away from the United States. I spent my childhood playing different sports, and I got into American football when I was about like 18, 19. So throughout college I played some American football, graduated with a degree in physical education. So I've always been very much oriented toward the world of strength and conditioning. And then I took a little break to try to play professional with American football for a while. Got it a shot for like about 3 years. And when I was faced with the option of choosing whether I should pursue a career as an athlete or a career as a professional, American football wasn't paying at all in Italy because of very little sport, very niche. So I chose to concentrate more on my career, and that's where I eventually moved to the States, started working as a strength and conditioning coach for NCAA, anywhere from Division III to Division I, in the States, in Canada, some experience with professional football, professional soccer, and rugby in Europe as well. And then just more recently, since 2016, I kind of diverted a bit from my path and I got more into the academic side of things. And since then, it's been just mostly teaching, being involved with the NSCA in terms of education for CSCS courses, and lots of research with the university and just teaching in general within the collegiate aspect of things.
And a lot of involvement also with the special interest group. We should probably make sure
Yes.
that gets in there too.
Yeah, I volunteered with the NSCA weightlifting SIG. Now, this is my 6th year as a volunteer, and it's the 3rd year as the chair of the group, which has been a blessing, and I loved every second of it. I feel like besides connecting with a lot of amazing people, it just gave me the opportunity to learn, develop, and improve more soft skills like communication, leadership, team management, and all those kind of things. And I think the weightlifting SIG has grown a lot because of the teamwork that we put in it. We were able to get connections with many researchers and practitioners in Europe, in Australia, in the United States. So it's a very well diverse group. We host a broad variety of like male and female strength and conditioning coaches. So I'm very thankful for the opportunity the NSCA has given me a chance to grow as a professional, being part of this weightlifting SIG for sure.
Yeah, and that's awesome. So now, as a guy who's gone from athlete and the teaching education to coach to now the academic side, those are 3 pretty big changes.
Yeah.
So I'm really fired up to hear this. If you wouldn't mind, describe a learning situation that brought about an epiphany in your career.
Yeah, I hope that as an epiphany, it's good to describe a situation that made me feel extremely inadequate for the field I was working in and motivated me to get better. And that was for sure the summer of 2016. So rewinding back, when I was living in Philadelphia, I had a short time at Villanova University with the football team, and then I got more into professional sports with track and field, which has always been one of my passions. I still do some shot putting on the side, and I work with a team of javelin throwers, so all adult athletes that were training for the Olympics. So we actually got one javelin thrower to qualify for the Olympic trials in Oregon, Eugene, for that year. So we went and we spent a whole week there for him to compete and get qualified. But also, I mean, the event was just a day. So the remaining of the time, we were just either training or looking at other people competing and getting ready for it. And I don't want to sound too comfortable with myself, but I felt pretty good being there because I mean, I did help this guy to get there. We did a good job training. We did a good job with nutrition and everything else that comes with it. But when I actually got there and I saw the way other coaches with much more experience than I had, with many more years of practice, with many more amazing results than what I achieved as an athlete and as a coach, I saw them doing their job and the way they were going about like coaching their athletes, from something very simple as just choosing exercises to do in a situation that was so like high pressure as an Olympic trial, the way they managed talking to their athletes. And the thing that really struck me is like, I just remember being around them and their athletes were asking them questions, some very complicated too, dealing with training, preparation, recovery, and so far and so forth. And these coaches had a very calm and simple answers for all those questions. And I asked myself, would I be able to do the same thing if my athletes were to ask me those questions, if I were to be put in the same spot? And my answer was a clear no. Like, I know what I know. I'm comfortable in the weight room. I can get someone stronger. I can probably get them less likely to get hurt. But am I competent enough to provide them answers that they needed, they deserved as athletes? And since the answer was no, I remember we flew back from Eugene. Within a week and a half, I was back enrolled in school, got my master, got 2 masters, tried to get more advanced into education. And I got to see how much I actually didn't know when I was a practitioner. And that really motivated me to somehow find a way to give back to the community. Like I've been there, I've done plenty of mistakes. I've been in situations where I probably was not prepared for it. I've learned from it. Now I can probably get a bit better because I'm more exposed to research and learning and studying. So let me try to provide you with something that can help you to be a better practitioner.
Dude, I absolutely love that answer because I think that all too often we think going into situations like that, we have all the answers. And then when you see some of these people that, I don't know, this is probably going to sound bad, but the people that like you would see and you would have stolen stuff from, and then like they're sitting there and they look like they're almost sleepwalking and just like plucking answers and like pulling the right strings at the right time, and you just feel so completely inadequate. That's a great moment. And I hope that a lot of the young coaches that listen to this get lucky enough to have one of those moments, because man, does that help you find that next gear to be better.
It's a reality check. It's important. And I remember one moment that was really like powerful for me personally. We were we couldn't access the main weight room on campus, so we went to a local gym, and it was like 3 days before this guy competed, and a few other athletes were in the weight room with us, and my guy was doing some fairly heavy power clean just a few days before the competition. Other athletes were doing like some plyo, some medicine ball work, and I remember one of them asking his coach, like, I don't remember exactly the words, but it was like, how long do I need to peak for a competition? How long do I need to taper and be ready for a competition? And back then, when I heard that question, in my mind, I was reviewing like all the books I've read, bump up, periodization, tapering, history, like all the stuff I've learned from books. And I remember sitting there and said, like, man, I don't have the answer for this question. And that guy popped an answer right away. Oh, you need about 36 hours and between a day and a half and 2 days. And he went on explaining like all this like tissue adaptation and CNS adaptation, and how you super compensate and how you get rid of fatigue, and all very in depth into like general adaptation syndrome, and giving like all these roundabout things that I would have never be able to put together in such an articulate answer. And I realized, man, probably I don't know enough.
Yeah, man, that's great. That's great. But getting into an aha situation like that leads you to have to ask better questions. And as a guy who went back to school and has had the 3 changes and is, still in school doing more research and such, I'm fired up to hear this, bro. If you could ask one question and you're going to get the answer to it, what would that be and why?
I'll try to keep it correlated with what we're discussing about in terms of sports science and performance. There will be many more questions that I would like to ask, but they're more like general and broad. When it comes to training, probably what I would like to have an answer for is, how much does strength really matter when it comes to performance sport? Meaning, I assume we all know the importance of getting our athletes stronger, and that's twofold. Like we want to get them more explosive and more performing better on the field, and we want to make them more like solid to resist from injuries and prevent injuries from happening. But how much does that strength really matter, and how much time and effort and energy we should invest in getting these athletes stronger? And that's my humble opinion, and I might not be completely right, but I think if we look at science, we're still so far from having an answer for this question, which leads to a lot of gray areas where people pull strings toward the direction that probably is not always the most appropriate one. Where either they do too much strength training, they don't do enough strength training, or they just do the wrong strength training, because there's not an answer yet to this question.
Yeah, and there's actually probably more questions about that question than there are even remotely close answers.
Yeah.
And that's wild. When you think that with as far as we've come with everything, that at some point we could figure out, are we really helping?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, man. But listen, Antonio, let me get you out of here with this, bud. You're a guy who's coaching, he's researching, you're helping other practitioners get better. You're working with people all around the world with the SIG. You're writing. You're a busy dude. Like you got a lot going on. So how do you come back to neutral, man? What's your escape?
I think what keeps me grounded is prioritizing things in life. meaning that, yes, I find a great deal of pleasure teaching and writing and researching and reading and working out and everything that pertains to the world of strength and conditioning. But I do find much more pleasure in spending time with family. And either that it's my wife or our dogs or our cats or whatever the case may be. But uh, my escape from busyness and craziness, and believe me, there are days where I don't catch a break for 14 hours straight because working on different time zones, sometimes I start working at 4 o'clock in the morning and have to be up ready to go. And I'm not done until 5 p.m. our time in California. So that's a long day without a break. Uh, what gets me going and what kind of brings me back to a more neutral ground and a more like neutral environment is probably just resetting, closing my computer, putting the phone away, and just spend time with family. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, man, 100%. That's awesome. And the one thing that we do need to talk about here really quick before we get out, because I'm not gonna let you get out. How's the book, man? Tell us about the book. Tell us about what you got coming, what just came out with UAC, so people can make sure that you hop over and pick that up.
Thank you. Yes, that's a project I've been working on for a very long time. Uh, Funny enough, like I did reach out to Ultimate Athlete Concepts a while back, but probably my project was a little bit too early in its development and it wasn't consolidated yet. It took me a while to understand what kind of book I had in mind to write. But then when I did realize what the strength of that book should be, and what kind of people it should be addressing, what kind of practitioner should be addressed, it was much easier for me to write it. That's a book that is the result of my personal experience. And it's hard for me now to separate what I've learned on the field from what I've learned by doing studying and research. So it's a combined expression of what I learned in my career, and as the goal of providing younger practitioners, so people that are new in the field of strength and conditioning, with a set of guidelines on what's the safest, easiest, most effective way to set up a strength training program for an athlete that can deliver results and be effective under like different aspects such as like performance enhancement, injury prevention, but the basics though, just what evidence shows that works and works for everyone, so that those people that read this book, then they can go about their life gaining more experience, developing their own philosophy and style to training, because training is still to some extent an art. Like you start from science, but then you develop your own approach to it. I'm no one to assume that my approach works for everyone. What I put in the book is just what I've learned that still works no matter what, and is backed up by science. So is let's say entry level guidelines and application for strength and conditioning.
It's awesome. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Joseph says it's a must. And so that's all I need to hear, man. Antonio, can't thank you enough for being on and being with us today, man. So fired up for what you're doing and so appreciative of your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
Yeah, man. Well, cheers. We'll be in touch real soon, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks.